Oh, hello, Tashidele. Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are doing good and taking good care of yourself, taking good care of each other. And welcome back to the Lojong session. So, as usual, we dedicate a few minutes to do some practice of recitations of some mantra together. Dedicating to all the numberless sentient beings to be free from sufferings and its causes, and to actualize them a state of peerless happiness of liberation, enlightenment. Then specifically we dedicate to those beings who closely karmic affiliated with us, those of the students, those of families and friends, and also those people who have requested prayers from me, and those of people to whom I know that they are in difficult time. Similar goes to each and every one of you. You may know the circle of your friends and families. Those are those who are in needs of meritorious prayer support. Not only the human being, but also the animals that we witness in our day-to-day life, that they are died, or they are sick, or seen that they are in trouble. They too are object of our practice, object of our dedications of the merit. And also there are few people that who right very now that and there are so many name lists, but I will read the latest one. Natalia and her two children, who was I think last week, told me that they were unwell with the COVID, but I hope that they are getting better. Similar like them, there are others that who are suffering from COVID to be free. And also, there are quite many names, those who pass away. I will read the latest one. Madam Te Kai Hiang and Kat Musian and Kat Messi and teacher Galania Shalugina. Those who pass away, be free from the suffering of death, suffering of intermediate state, suffering of rebirth, and actualize rebirth in the Pure Land, such as Amitabha Charisi Pure Land, where there they actualize state of full enlightenment within that very lifetime. Yeah, so yes, yeah, so we dedicate like that, and we dedicate to each other, those who are on live attending this Lojong transmission. Karmically, that each and every one of us create these conducive meritorious conditions to be together, come together, to create this special bonding of auspiciousness, where we dedicate our merits to each other collectively in the group of virtues, be most effective. So whatever practices, prayers from this teaching, in particular, as well as those merits and prayers that I conduct daily during my retreat sessions, everything I dedicate to you and your family members, whether I know your name or not, whether I know in person or not. That's not important. The important is staying in the circle of virtuous practice, that which is like being in Dhamma discourse like this. So you, each and every one of you, all are my central of my dedications, of all my merits of the past, present, and all the futures practices. So keeping that in heart, and we generate correct motivation of altruism, bodhicitta. That also we cultivate on the basis of sincere, wholehearted refuge in Guru Buddha Dhamma Sangha. With that, then we do the practice. Sangye Jodang Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Jazunje, Daji Jinzo Jebe, Sonamji, Rola Benje, Zangye Dubarai Jo, Zangye Jodang Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Jazunje, Daji Jinzo Jebe, Sonamji, Rola Benje, Zangye Dubarai Jo, Zangye Jodang Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Jazunje, Daji Jinzo Jebe, Sonamji. Dola benje zanje drubarai yo zanje jodang zoje jonala janjo bado dane jazonje daje jenzo jebe sonamje dola benjere zanje drubarai Gange doze ne zone dawa damje bambe jere dambe jene dunze bango dam dela chaze lo doni ninje zondo jube lam zeje zenjo ganje dende chana bemo denze jazo sowa debzo da ju jinje lo semje damje dewa dang dewe ju dang demra ju je semje damje dunga dang dunga ju dang rawa ju semje damje dunga mebe dewa dang mi rawa ju je semje damje nire jadang ni dang rawe dang yola nebra ju ro je semje damje dewa dang dewe ju dang demra ju je semje damje dunga dang dunga ju dang rawa ju je semje damje dunga mebe dewa dang mi rawa ju je semje damje nire jadang ni dang rawe dang yola nebra ju ro je semje damje dewa dang dewe ju dang demra ju je semje damje dunga dang dunga ju dang rawa ju je semje damje dunga mebe dewa da mi rawa ju je semje damje nire jada ni danda we danyo la ne bara ju ro je tabje do je jaje re do je jenje mendo do je bu jomba seje lombo da bo zebe go shaje jabo de la cha ze lo Om muni muni ma muni yezo ha Om muni muni ma muni yezo ha Om muni muni ma muni yezo ha Om muni muni ma muni yezo Om muni muni ma muni yezo ha Om muni muni ma muni yezo ha Om muni muni ma muni yezo ha Dayata omo gade gade bara sam gade bodhe yezo ha Dayata omo gade bara sam gade bodhe yezo Dayata omo gade bara sam gade bodhe yezo ha Dayata omo gade bara sam gade bodhe yezo Dayada omo gade bara sam gade bodhi yezo ha Dayada omo gade bara sam gade bodhi yezo Dayada omo gade bara sam gade bodhi yezo Omo ahum benzaram guru bema zede hum 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 Omo ahum benzaranguru bema sede hum Omo ahum benzaranguru bema sede Omo ahum benzaranguru bema sede Mime zeve derjen jene ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bo male jumze sanwen da kanjen jembe zujin zonga ba lozan da bishop la sowan Mime zeve derjen jene ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bo male jumze sanwen da kanjen jembe zujin zonga ba lozan da bishop la sowan Mime zeve derjen jene ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bo male jumze sanwen da kanjen jembe zujin zonga ba lozan da bishop la sowan Mingme zeve derjen jere ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang du bo male jumze sangwen da kanji jembe zujin songa ba lozan tabe jamla zowan Mingme zeve derjen jere ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang du bo male jumze sangwen da kanji jembe zujin songa ba lozan tabe jamla zowan Mime zeve derjen jere ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bon male jumzen zangwen da kanji jembe zujin zonga ba lozan tabe jabla zowa Om mani beme hom 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 mani beme Omo mani beme Omo dare dure zoha 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 Omo dare dure zo, 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 omo dare dure zo. Omo dare dure zo, 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 omo dare dure zo. Tayata omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayata omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayata omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayata omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayada omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayada omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayada omo be ganze ma be ganze ranza samu gade zo Tayada omo be ganze ma be ganze Ranza samu gade zo Omo mare zema 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 zo Daji jawa tamje dan jeba yin la zambe de Denyi geme ze jun du ba la me jinje Raja jume je ze du jume jo yang zang zo Zemde zeme le jume je ba gu le nyu du jab du zo Jawa de nyu du dan o ze jema du ju ne Dowa ji nyama le ba de za la go bra jo Jambe babe jedra jemba da gundo zambu de yan de jenje de da gunje juzo da loje jawa de da damje rab do ngo de zonje be jawa tamje de ngo kan la judo ngo ba de da je je ben za wa de gwenje Sambo Jera Dongo Warai, Pama Zenje, Tamje, Dendan, Denjurje, Mendo Tamje, Dado, Doa, Janju Zembagana, Zujoba, and the Dagunje Malan Dojurj. Semje Neba, Jeneba, Nudo Nele, Dajuje, Duene Maleba, Dado Joa Mebrai, Bedan Zova Migebe, Yishenovo Bazamji. Semjere Wagunze, Zamba Jejen, Dube, Daji. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so today we will go through a new text. The title is A Teaching on Taking Afflictions onto the Path. So this particular text, there's no clearly stated the exact author of this text, but roughly can conclude that it is very much compiled by the Shunu Gyalchok, Konchok Bang, who compiled the entire, who put together all this great collection of Lojong teachings. In any way, this teaching to be within this collection, that itself shows us, how authentic teaching it is and how important teaching it is. And the teaching that which practice generations by realized beings and who have actualized immense of benefit to overcoming afflictions, overcoming karma, sufferings, and actualizing merits and path and enlightenment. So therefore, it is so relevant to us. And in particularly, the time that where we are in is the 5 degenerate time. Among the 5 degenerations, one of the degeneration is the degenerations of afflictions. So our delusions, the afflictions are, ever stubborn into our system, and that really, make us live in complete darkness or pure virtues. Complete darkness, for us to really get out of contaminations of karma, because as long as affliction is there, whatever action that we perform become negative action, become the karma that which will cause samsara. Samsara meaning suffering, you see. So whatever that world is experiencing, whether the global level or individual level, whether in external level, the environment, or the internal, the self, whether it is whether on physical aggregates or in mental aggregates, we are completely very much live influence of afflictions. You see, one of the sign is the fear that we carry in our day-to-day life. That is because of affliction. And not getting the answer, what's going on with our life, in particularly the uncertainty that we faces, in particularly the suffering the environment that comes in our way, such as in the form of natural disaster, such as in the form of diseases, such as this pandemic, then such as emotional grieving, emotional turmoil that we go through. Then most of all, the very core experience of unsettledness, core experience of unsettledness in the present moment, living inwardly, getting completely scattered out of our thoughts, our wandings, completely, very much like kind of like hang, hang in the middle of, hang from the cliff, where there is a little hope to, get out, from that danger. At the same time, consistent fear, and at the same time, there's no, grounded, no satisfaction. It's very much like a boiling water. Very much like boiling water of our mind. Our thinkings. Really unpacified, unpeaceful. You see, and if we think carefully, if we examine carefully about whatever example that I've given, this is not only experiencing, when we are unhealthy. This is not experiencing only when these pandemics are around. This was in fact, experience. We were very much in that experience before pandemic. Before we are unwell. You see, even everything, environmentally, including our physical health, everything is okay. Also, our heart is completely like a boiling water, unsettled, unpeaceful, unsatisfied. So these are the sign of how stubborn our afflictions are, how degenerated our afflictions are. You see, so because of that, then we carry this projection. We carry this projection of as if the world is getting worse, as if our life is getting worse, as if our health is getting worse, as if like we have been ever in peace, we have been ever healthy, and suddenly we are becoming unhealthy. Suddenly we are becoming sick. Suddenly like we are approaching sufferings. It's all this, in fact, is untruth, confusion. It is absolutely confusion. As long as we are bound by affliction and function by the afflicted karma, then we are always in samsara. So as long as we are in samsara, we are always in suffering. You see, so that acceptance is important. You see, so as long as as long as we get freedom from these contaminated samsaric aggregates and contaminated samsaric environment, then contaminated samsaric mental aggregate, which are the affliction. In fact, in fact, there's no freedom from suffering. There's no freedom from problem. So therefore, so therefore, the unacceptance of the reality itself is a huge ignorance, and it is a huge suffering to us. So that's why that's why always there is kind of seeking perfection in our world, seeking perfection in our life, in our life, and including in our health. In fact, there's no such thing, you know. So that's reality. There's no such thing. As long as we are bounded by samsara, there's no such thing that we can get to a point that we be free from problem, free from sicknesses, free from degenerations. You see, free from inflictions. So by accepting that is the reality, and acknowledging that that is in fact is our system, then using the path, the dharma, the transforming methods to utilize these samsaric experiences into a most meaningful thing, like the like many of the poisons, through skillful means, through skillful science, through skillful medical science, turn into a medicine, become so beneficial, isn't it? So if you just focus on the negativities of the 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 thing, the event, the thought, the object, if we just focus on the 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 negative side of the samsara, the affliction, the karma, the problem of the world, it is very much like we are consuming the solo poison, and that will kill you. You see, that will bring more suffering to us. You see, that will bring more suffering to us. But they using the Lojong tools, using the mind training tools or the Dharma tools, that which is the subject that we have discussed so many different level of subjects that in the past, but specifically this particular teaching, this particular the technique, it is like the skillful science, skillful medicinal science, turning that affliction, that negative karma, that samsara, that suffering, that problem into a most beneficial to your well-being, most beneficial to the environment, not only that, most beneficial to the rest of the numberless sentient beings who come in contact with your thoughts, your speech, your body, you see. So so that is important. So in short, what I want, what I'm saying here is, no way we can expect freedom from afflictions as long as we carry this samsaric human body. No way. We cannot expect there's a place, there's a time that we can be free from problem, free from degeneration. It's very much like the samsaric, the phenomena, the contaminated aggregate that we have. Things will get worse and worse. In fact, the more we age, the more day goes by, the reality is things will go worse and worse. And good to know that, and good to accept that reality. And that itself is taste of freedom, taste of, the moment things start to accept, there's a sense of relief and release from the bondage, the chain of the grasping onto it. The grasping itself is the most painful thing. You see, when the grasping is challenged, then the pain comes. You see, we have the problem of permanent grasping to the perfection, permanent grasping of the tranquility. There's no such thing as long as we carry the samsaric, aggregates. You see, but ultimately, definitely there's a freedom, because whatever contamination that we experience now, including the delusions, including the ignorance, they are very much temporal. They are with us as long as uh, as long as we be as a samsaric being. The moment we are free from the condemnation of samsaric aggregates, free from afflictions and the delusions, then uh, we will come to a state of complete liberation. You see, the one of the main hopeful um, um, reason is um, our innate being is not contaminated. You see, our innate being carry the Buddha potential, the pure potential. You see, so whatever problem that we go through, whatever difficulty that we go through, it is just a fine layers of cover only, like the cloud that cover to the vast infinite pure space. You see, so therefore therefore the job that we can meaningfully do while we are not fully liberated from this condemnation, while we are anyway have to be in the contaminated environment, then we take the full use of this condemnation to develop our heart, to bring most beneficial to ourselves and to the others. You see, so yeah. So that is the point. So this teaching, um, uh, later I will just read through it, and very easy, very simple, but then profound. You see, the entire 84,000 teachings essence, contained in this simple, the wording, illustrated in a very simple, very few words. So as long as we learn these few words, and you use this word to remind our mind to reflect onto it in our day-to-day life, it's going to be so meaningful. It's going to change our life completely, 360 degree, you know, uh, not meaningful to the meaningful life. You see, uh, suffering experience to the most fruitful experience of our life. So before going into that, since the theme of the teaching is mm, uh, uh, taking adversities, taking afflictions onto the path by using the two bodhicitta, the technique of the conventional bodhicitta, which is very much the fully matured love and compassion, then ultimate bodhicitta, which is the wisdom of emptiness. So so the altruistic technique itself is so powerful uh, that as like what Shantideva said in the Buddhist Acharya. So I will read some of the quotations, so that even though the actual teaching from this text is so simple, it's very much like ordinary conversation, ordinary conversation. There's no kind of difficulty, to get understand the kind of complicated philosophy like that. So, but the benefit carries by this practice, uh, can be understood from these quotations from Shantideva's Bodhisattva Acharya. It says like this: those who wish to overcome the sorrow of their lives and put the fight, the pain and the suffering of beings, those who wish to win such a great beatitude should never turn their back on bodhicitta. So this is exactly what we wanted to do. We want to overcome uh, uh, our sorrows, our sufferings. We want to overcome the suffering that we face in this world. We want to overcome the suffering that we, we day to day experience in relation to our emotions, ups and downs, our emotions in relation to what goes on with our family members and friends, what's coming in the world, like this pandemics. Then at the same time, we also genuinely wish to overcome others' sufferings, suffering of our loved ones, suffering of those who are, in pain, even though we may not know them directly. So the best method is to overcome the samsara. Best way to do that is to apply the antidote that which will help to overcome the root cause, which is the karma and affliction. And most powerful antidote to overcome karma and afflictions is the bodhicitta, is the altruistic attitude and altruistic wisdom. You see, so therefore, say we should never turn away our back on altruistic practice. In other way, we never should turn away. If we want to relate to this particular teaching that we're going to discuss today, never turn away from such practices. If we really want to achieve the freedom for oneself and freedom for the sentient being. As I mentioned before, as long as we carry the samsaric aggregates, there's no freedom from the object side, but we can gain freedom within our wisdom. You see, we can gain freedom from within our attitude, because ultimately the samsara, the suffering, the affliction, the karma, everything is imputed by our mind. Everything is labeled by our mind. Everything is arising from our mind. The mind is the master, the creator of all this samsara. So if we're able to fix our mind, if we're able to equip, instead of ignorant, if we able to equip wisdom of altruism, instead of self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude, if we able to equip, great love and compassion, we being within the samsaric aggregates, we can still experience the liberation. You see, so therefore, never turn our back on bodhicitta. From the same text, it says, all other virtues, like the plant and tree, produce their fruit, but then their force is spent. Alone, the marvelous tree of bodhicitta will bear its fruit and grow unceasingly. Even from the same text, even one merely has the wish, one merely has the wish to soothe the aching head of other beings. Such merits knows no bounds. So no need to speak then of the wish to drive the endless pain of each and every living beings, bringing them unbounded virtues. Then from the same text, for if the simple thought to be of help to others exceed in word the worship of the Buddhas, what need is there to speak of actual deeds that brings about the will and benefit of beings? You see, so bodhicitta, the practice of altruism, in any way you practice, even just cultivating in the thought, not even in action, but even just cultivating in our thought, even to just one person, just what the text says, even just wishing, to heal one person's headache, the merit that you create from there, the virtue that you create from there, the antidote to the suffering, antidote to the negativities you create from there is exceeded, even making offering to the numberless Buddhas of the past, present, future. It exceed numberless, making offering to numberless Buddhas in material form. The merit from that exceed, like even you offer um, limitless diamonds to the limitless Buddhas. So that much power, you see. So then no question about if you generate that kind of heart to wishing to elevate the suffering of numberless sentient beings, no question, how infinite merit that one will accumulate. Uh, you see. Then not only that, in our very best, if we try to engage, actually, try to help others when others are in suffering, in whatever way you can, through conversation, giving advice, giving, you know, mm, word of wisdom, uh, uh, mm, emotional supports. Then physically, if you're able to really be there, helping hand in whatever way possible, in whatever that you are capable, uh, then dedicating our merits, oneself, accumulate practice, accumulate meditations, accumulate generation of loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom, uh, then accumulate powerful prayers, and you dedicate the merit, to elevate the suffering of other sentient beings. So if we not just thinking, but if we directly engage in our very best any of those actions, then the merit that we accumulate is, no need to speak about. It's boundless. You see. So so this is so important, that the suffering that we go through, the obstacle that comes in our life, everything is exhaustions of our merit, exhaustions of our virtues and merits, or is not enough of our virtues, not enough of merits. Because of that, then uh, different experiences of the samsara manifest in our life. Not the pervasive compounded suffering is, it is pervasive and equal to all sentient beings. Wherever we are born, whether in the formless realm, form realm, God realm, human realm, hell realm, the pervasive compounded, the pervasive compounded suffering, the samsara, is equal to everyone. But then the suffering of change and the suffering of pain, the degree of suffering of change, the degree of suffering of pains comes in individual's life is very much a play of uh, the how much merit that we carry, how much virtue that we carry, how much how much negativities that we carry, how intensity negativities that we have. You see, so so you see, so therefore, accumulation of merit is so crucial for the purifications of past negative karma, which are the cause of the suffering, cause of suffering of cause of all the suffering, but then specifically to manifest suffering of change and suffering of pain. Mm. Uh, uh, then the accumulation of merit, the creating merit, which will create the cause, which will create the antidote, not only to purify the pervasive compounded suffering, but it also limit the experience of suffering of change and suffering of pain. You see, suffering of pain. So So therefore, the more the merit that we have, it is easier to fulfill our wishes. Even though our life in the pervasive compounded samsara, but then as far as concerned with uh, fulfilling the wishes of no more suffering or pain, no more obvious arriving of problems, will be easier to achieve when we have abundance of merits and when we have less negativities. You see, so this we very much have in our hand. You see, we very much have in our, even though it's quite late, because most of us already wasted so much of our time in the past. uh, um, even though we have achieved this human intelligence, even though we met the dharma, even though we met correct abundance of tools to accumulate merit, but we are still very much get distracted with only worldly concerns. Then on top of that, even committing negative emotions and negative karma, like such as always living in the fear, living in anger, living in attachment grasping. You see, then our heart is like never stay away from accumulations of virtual meritorious deeds, meritorious deeds of the thought, meritorious deeds of the physical engagement. We wasted so much of our time. Think about that. You see, in our ordinary life, we are quite matured in our age, isn't it? Most of us, above 20, 30, 40, 50. Uh, uh, mm, uh, we are regarded very matured, but when it comes to really genuinely ultimately benefiting ourselves for present happiness and for future happiness, we have been long time childish. Even now we are very much like childish. You see, uh, uh, you know all of us check ourselves. After talk so much now, from tomorrow onward, again we take it easy. From later on, after teaching finish, then after that, our life is again get full. 99% get distracted with worldly concern. Permanent grasping. Live in fear. Live in agitations. Live in graspings. You see. Then even though there are so many tools of accumulation of merit and purification of past karma, which we will hardly do. Maybe we spend 1%. You see, in the 12 hours of the day, we may spend maybe 5 minutes. So tiny, so tiny. But our expectation for happiness is like a Mount Meru. you know, the committing cause is so tiny, like 1%, but we want the result of perfection is 100%. And how possible? It is not possible. It is realistic. Isn't it? It's not possible. you know most of the time most of the time we either just stay neutral, wasting our time, not never not engaging in any virtue, not really engaging in negativities, but just stay numb, stay neutral. That's not beneficial. You see, the time passes, day go by. You see, so but the wanting of happiness, wanting of life without problem is like huge all the time. Even tiny problem comes in our way, we freak out. Even tiny problem comes in our way. Is very much like is very much our thinking so childish, so childish, even though so matured. But then when thinking of the real wisdom, we are so childish, as if entire world's problem and suffering just pour onto you alone. We freak out like that. Isn't it? We freak out. We freak out like that. So you see, like the little child, little kid, little child. They're thinking. If if you please them, if you give them a small gift, they start to feel like that in the whole world happiness come onto them. If you just pinch them a little bit, scold them a little bit, they will feel like the whole world suffering come onto them like that. So you see, so we are very much like that. You see, very very much like that. You see, so therefore in Dharma wisdom we are still very childish. You see, very immature. No confidence at all. You see, so easy to get freaked out. You see, so therefore, you see, so therefore we really have to wake up from that sleep. The moment we carry the confidence in our practice, then as long as you do your very best in accumulation of merits and purification of negativities, then your heart try to always fill with the antidote of Dharma. Well, have the heart of acceptance of the reality of samsara that we are going through. No, then even though you see, our stream of continuum will able to travel very, very clear and uninterrupted way, like very much like a pure water stream, run through, pebble and unbelievable, how to say, pebbles, rocks, woods, whatever, when we go into nature, when we see, the pure stream running, the pathway to run that pure stream is full of rocks, full of wood, wooden blocks, etc. But then the stream, the clear, pure stream of water follow uninterruptedly, and each moment of that stream of pure clear water until it reached to its final destination of the ocean, never stop, never get disturbed by those ups and downs of pebbles, you see, the rocks and etc. So similarly, the samsaric aggregates, the samsaric environmental experiences is ups and downs like that kind of rocky pebbles like that. But then our consciousness, since our consciousness ultimate nature is pure, and it doesn't it does continue endlessly, you see, and you see, and we're able to do that carrying the Dharma wisdom, you see, like that. We are able to overcome without any obstacles, to able to reach to our resultant achieving of the Buddha's two body, Buddha's form body and Buddha's wisdom body. You see, we are able to do that, you see, like that. So that's the reason what I've quoted, that altruistic practice is the most powerful method to accumulate merit and bring about purification. Then from the same text it says, the source of sorrow is the pride of saying I, foster and increase by false belief in self. To this you may say that there's no redress, but meditation on no self will be the supreme way. So this the earlier one is very much focused on the earlier quotations that I've said is very much focused on the conventional bodhicitta, love and compassion, infused bodhicitta. The latter one is the altruistic wisdom, emptiness. The root cause is the egoistic, false view of I. So as long as we carry that, then that foster, the false belief of this inherent self, inherent self. Then from there, then it develops all the false misconceptions, false apprehensions, and false activities, deeds through our body, speech, and mind, and that creates a negative karma, and that brings about the samsara. So where the sorrow, and the suffering, that comes in our way, whether to do with overall samsara or whether to do with our day-to-day life, sorrows and sufferings, is very much comes from the false I and false claim of the false belief of the self, and the grasping that expressed from there. You see, so as long as we don't overcome that, then the sorrow never ends. But there's an antidote to overcome that, is through meditation. By meditating on no self, no self to the self identity, no self to no self of any experience that comes in our way, or that will help to overcome the main root source of the samsara, main root source of the suffering. So in another word, meditate on emptiness. That will overcome. That's the supreme method. From the same text, it says, all these branches of the doctrine, the powerful Lord expounded for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, they must generate this wisdom who wish to have end of suffering. So this particular verse is set on the first verse of the wisdom chapter of the Shantideva Bodhisattvacharya. The whole reason the Buddha have taught the 84,000 teachings, sutra and tantra, everything is to expound the teachings of the wisdom. All those teachings are the pathway to deliver the teaching on emptiness. So therefore, whatever practices, teaching we study, we should focus to actualize the wisdom of emptiness. You see, so so whoever wish to be free from suffering, then we must actualize the wisdom of emptiness. As I mentioned before, if we want to overcome the suffering we go through now and the suffering that we do not wish to experience in the future, then we need to purify its causes, the negativities. The most powerful antidote is emptiness. So again, from the same text, it says, just as by the fires at the end of time, great sins are utterly consumed by the bodhicitta, that it is benefit the boundless. As the wise and loving Lord explained to Sudana. You see, so the wisdom of emptiness is like the the fire of the end of the existent, that which has the burning capability of anything. Similarly, the wisdom of emptiness has the capability to purify any form of negativities, including its root, the ignorant. Nothing, no other virtue can able to act as a direct antidote to ignorant. Only the wisdom of emptiness. You see, so therefore, how many other virtue we practice, we may able to overcome certain degree of negativities, but we may not able to overcome. We will not able to overcome the most stubborn, the root, most subtle negative, which is the ignorant grasping. So when we practice emptiness, then as equal as practicing all the antidotes, like that, you see. So So from here, then we can understand the importance of the teaching that we're going to discuss, the teaching on taking affliction on onto the path. So I'm not going to distract. I will just read. Then you just use the wording as it is, as a meditational guide in our day-to-day life. Or there are so many meditational guides that we talk about, and this is so wonderful, so easy. Anyone easily can use this guideline to do meditation. Uh, Namo Rana Guru, homage to the precious teacher. So this to accumulate merit and purify the obstacles, to the composition of the text. So the composer make venerations to precious teachers. Then it says, it is said that the instruction of transforming forceful mental state, such as attachment and aversion, into the path on the basis of true awakening mind, how to take affliction on to the path, is presented in the tantras. It is impossible, however, if the ordinary afflictions themselves to become the aspect of the path. As far as taking affliction onto the path by means of selecting them as your meditation focus and turning them away is concerned, this has been taught repeatedly in the sutra. The instructions for this sutra approach is as follows. So you see, so the taking affliction onto the path, you see, using the affliction, the actual generation of the affliction, such as like attachment, such as like anger, taking onto the path, only can able to do in the tantric techniques, in tantric teachings. In the sutric practice, both Vinaya and the Paramita Sutrayana, there's no technique to take the actual arising, the actual cultivation of the arising of attachment and anger onto the path, onto the path. You see, so there's also a text emphasized about the, as far as concerned with attachment, then the actual arising of attachment, that you can, there is a technique in the sutra to take onto the path. But as far as concerned with the aversion, anger, then there's no such technique in the sutra to take onto the path. So in any way, what it says here and what the other texts are saying, and there's no contradictory. As far as concerned with the, attachment, the affectionate, the attachment, like such as attachment to one's loved one, that you can use to turn that onto the path, to develop greater love, greater compassion, and altruism, even in the sutra practice. So such as, before training the 7 causes and effect to develop bodhicitta, like as emphasized in the Great Lamrimpa Lamatsongkhapa, then you see, to develop, to actualize the 2 major bases to develop the 7 cause and effect. First, you need to develop the attitude of impartial, develop the impartial attitude from three from the, to develop the to develop the partial attitude from the three, to develop impartial attitude from the three partial attitude of attachment, aversion, and ignorant. Then the second one is to develop the genuine affection. So when you train in the generating affection, in order for us to eventually develop great compassion, you first train affection towards your loved one, and using the usual the closeness, the affection that you have to your loved one, using that as a basis, then defining as a pure affection by taking away the attachment aspect, the delusion aspect of attachment, like very much like so like that. But as far as concerned with the anger, then there's no such capability to take directly aversion onto the path. So in tantra, then both attachment and anger can take onto the path. So he's talking about that. So in sutra, as stated here, it's more about using the selected afflictions, like such as attachment, anger, as an object of your meditation, turning them away by application of antidote. You see, so so if it is about transforming the anger within ourselves, then first to in order for us to understand the clear characteristic of anger, to know the anger, know the negation well, then you use that as a you can use that arising of the anger to detect the absolute characteristic of the negation, then apply the antidote. So for the purpose of eradicating the affliction, then you you let it arise in order to detect the exact negation. For that purpose, then you can use affliction. You can use the term taking affliction onto the path in the sutric path. So for that, so there is a two meditation practice. The first one is the conventional bodhicitta. So that as in the text, it says, take attachment, for instance. So take attachment as for instance. First, when you observe yourself experiencing attachment to either an internal experiences or to a specific external object, contemplate the following. So the following is the meditation guide that, as I mentioned before, we can use these wordings as a meditation guide. So the guide is this is the affliction of attachment. So like very much like talking to yourself, noticing the attachment. Say, this is the affliction of attachment. So meditate on that, know that, be mindful knowing that. Then understand, if not relinquished, not purified, and not conquered, it will give rise to immeasurable sufferings, such as birth in the lower realms, immeasurable sufferings, such as birth in the lower realms. So rationalize in meditation. If transformed and conquered, it can become a condition for full enlightenment. Meditate on these reasons. I will therefore conquer it so that it become a condition for Buddhahood. Thing like that. So this is the meditation guide, you see. So we can use that if we, if individual there's arising of fear, you use fear Instead of attachment, you put the fear. This is the affliction of fear, like that. If it's anger, you use the anger. Jealousy, depression, any form of, or the external incident that related to different afflictions, like such as, disturbances that which triggering anger, disturbances that which in physical object that triggering attachment. Whenever you see attached object and desire arising, then you use this line to meditate. Similar way. Then when we face, when any external obstacle encounter, so again, to calm ourselves, to purify negative relation to that, and you go into this meditation, just like that. Like even this a COVID period like this, this is the affliction, this is the obstruction, was it? You can say this is the affliction of fear, arising due to the COVID concerns. If not relinquished, not purified, not conquer, it will give rise to immeasurable suffering, such as birth in the lower realms. If transform and conquer, it can become condition for full enlightenment. I will therefore conquer it so that it become condition for Buddhahood. So you see, if any family members or someone go through obstacle like sicknesses, you can use again this line, because in relation to that, you have so much fear, worry, confusion, all sort of disturbances you encounter, isn't it? If someone in the family, suddenly got some problem. So again, you use, into this meditation. You see. So I will continue to read from the text. Then it says, thinking thus, thinking like what said before, take into your mind your enemies, afflictions of attachment, enemies of affliction of attachment. Then as you do when meditating on loving kindness, cultivate this towards the largest spheres. Finally, take upon yourself all the attachment, including their propensities existing in all beings. As you do this, imagine that your own attachment becomes so great as to be unfathomable. Imagine that all sentient beings become free of attachment and attain Buddhahood. So this is the practice of taking affliction upon yourself on the basis of conventional awakening mind. So you engage in the Tonglen practice. You see, exactly like this. You see, so the individual students, you try to read the text by yourself. It's so clear. You read carefully and try to memorize it, or try to have a snap picture in your mind of this, this way of thinking, way of meditation. You can use in all problems, all obstacles, all delusions. You see, so such a wonderful and such an easy way to do such a profound practice of Tonglen. In a very easy writing, in an easy expression. For some people, like what it says, that when you do this, imagine that your own attachment becomes so big. Like when you see, if we want to relate this to some sicknesses, if family members, if someone going through certain sicknesses, then you're thinking of the sickness ripen upon my own self-grasping, self-cherishing negativities. Then that become huge, like a Mount Meru, unfathomable. For people, don't not so familiar with the practice and teaching, may get fear, may have a concern and confusion, thinking that the other people's sickness will ripen upon me, or my problem become greater. If you're doing this practice in relation to your own problem, and some more on top of the problem you already have, you are taking all the rest of the other sentient beings' problem onto you and imagining, visualizing as a Mount Meru as huge, then such kind of concern, worry may arise. It is natural, but the reality is, this meditation, this kind of practice only act as antidote to reduce your own problem, reduce your own karma, and also condition to reduce and purify others' karma and others' suffering. It is just a technique of antidote. Uh, you know, um, it is the natural law of karma. It will not ripen upon you because the meditation act as an antidote to purify the obstacle. You see? So therefore, when you do this meditation, you don't have to have any such kind of concerns. Rather you should have a full conviction and comfort that it is, that you are applying the most powerful antidote to overcome the negativities. Now the second is on emptiness, the ultimate altruism, taking affliction onto the path. So the text says, take upon yourself this attachment of yours, now the size of Mount Meru, and heap others' attachment upon it as well. Then reflect, then think like this. Attachment is by nature mental. The attachment is, nature mental. Apart from the mind, there's no attachment, not even an atom breath. So when the mind observes itself, past and future state become normal. The past has ceased to be, while the future is, though subject to cessation or yet to be. And the present is devoid of any identifiable characteristic, such as shape, color, and so on. Not existing in any manner, the mind abides like a space. So what is called attachment is a mere name with no reference at all. Place your mind in this state as long as it abides. This is the practice of the ultimate awakening mind. So here again, given the attachment as example, again you use all the other delusion that arises in our heart, all the external obstacle disturbances that comes in your way. You can use the same reflection, same meditation. So you see, such as in the text say, the attachment is by nature, similar like rest of the delusion. The nature is a mental factor. The nature of attachment is a mental factor. It is not something like concrete kind of stone or object. It's a mental factor. So therefore, whatever disturbing emotion like attachment, there's no attachment other than the perception or the mind. And there's no something separate that can be identified, that can be detected. And in fact, it's just the mind. You cannot identify, you cannot detect even one single atom as it is designate, other than the simply a perception. And even that perception, if you investigate, it is very much is hallucination. You see, it does not carry a valid basis of being inherent attachment. You see, so it is very much confused projection or confused exaggerated projections. You see, because when that attachment not only lack of inherent existence from the subject, the mind, it also lack of inherent existence in relation to the object. You see, so if you may say that yes, it is nature of the mind, it has no, it is on independent basis, but then it still carry different characteristic because it arises in relation to the object. Uh, but then again, it arises in relation to the object merely in the nature of imputation. But when you go to examine in the object, there's not even one single atom that you can detect to define that this is the reason that where the attachment is arise. You see, so you find the voidness of the basis of the grasping of this false claim of attachment, both in subject as well as in the object. Mhm. So when the mind observes itself, how to go about not only the attachment, not only the rest of the delusions, rest of the mental factor, including the main basis, the mind itself. When you observe on it is past, on it is present, on it is future, then you cannot find that particular attachment in relation to the past mind, in relation to the future mind, in relation to the present mind. You see, so that way, one by one, that you can able to release the chain of the grasping as an attachment in your mind. You see, so this is the way how you overcome. You see, it's not just saying that I don't like attachment, I don't want. It doesn't work that way. You need to rationalize, and you really need to go and search for it. And after searching, not finding itself is the wisdom that that which able to negate the false perception of the delusion. Mm. Mm. Then you see, you have to, we have to rationalize, we have to examine, which you can say the contemplative meditation. So you need to contemplate an example, this attachment onto the mind, that you need to come up to the result uh, that um, that complete emptiness, complete emptiness of the attachment within all area of perceptions, all area of the mind, including empty, uh, even outside of the mind, in the person, in the objects, in the time, then you reach to a conclusion very much like the like space, like emptiness, which is luminous, uh, free of any kind of bondage, infinite, free of obstruction, clarity. Space like emptiness. Space like emptiness in your awareness in relation to that attachment. You see, complete, free, and overcoming of the existent in any way of that attachment, truly and inherently. You see, so so when you reach to the point of space like emptiness, then uh, you try to abide in that, abide in the space like emptiness. You see, you abide in the space like emptiness for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, in relation to the uh, you know in relation to the analytical meditation that you have conducted. The result of the analytical meditation that you have conducted in relation to the attachment, that you come to a result, you come to a conclusion, the space like voidness or the emptiness. And abiding in that is being in the absorption meditation on the emptiness of attachment. Absorption meditation on emptiness of attachment, which is also called space, like contemplative. What's it? Absorption meditation on space like emptiness. So you use this same technique to aversion, fear, or any form of obstacle. Internal obstacle, external obstacle is all about coming into existence through grasping. When there's no grasping, uh, there's no reception to the obstacle, whether to do with external or internal. So the grasping is the kind of like antenna that detect, antenna that receive the obstacle, whether to do with the internal delusion or the external factors. You see, so therefore, uh, uh, so therefore, the finding emptiness, whether to do with the external factor or the internal delusion, is overcoming grasping of that. The way to do that is through meditation. The step to meditation: first analytical meditation, then engaging into absorption meditation, and the result of that, at the initial level, you are deeply influenced, your mind, your awareness, with that emptiness meditation, so that day to day, whenever you again facing, when you're encountering those delusions, when you're encountering those external obstacles, you're more immune to it, or you'll be less affected. If you are well trained in that, the moment the factor arises, the antidote of the wisdom, already arise in the same time, simultaneously. You see, then eventually, after continued training, then the antidote will be always in our mindfulness, always readiness. So when the antidote, the guard, is always upfront readiness, so then there's not even a sign of the obstacle, of either external obstacle or the internal delusion have a space to arise. You see, so it would take a long time to reach there, but this is the way to train. Then when you actualize spontaneous state of being mindful of antidote without any effort, without any rationalizing, always fully in mindful, day and night, you see, in every thought, in every actions, the antidote is always fully awake, fully mindful, fully vigilant. That is the time that you achieve the how to say, the full force of the path, full force of the path of the antidote, or of the wisdom. You see, so then that way, then you consistently, you see, in a gradual but consistently, then you're able to eliminate all the disturbances, all the obstacles, all the defilement, from gross to the subtle. So that's how that travel through the paths and grounds. So we do the similar kind of practice even before entering into the path. Right now we do the same practice. You see. So otherwise, just knowing the teaching, but if we don't meditate, then we won't able to fight with the obstacles. You see, the obstacles is so habitual in us. The antidote is so weak. You see, so So the strength of antidote you develop through familiarity. So familiarity, and especially if you're able to develop the antidote, the mindfulness of antidote on the basis of certain degree of concentrated mind, like such a like shamatha mind, then that will be so powerful, so powerful. So therefore, in our day-to-day life, just doing the absorption meditation itself also training our concentration. But then once a while we specifically, not once a while, sorry, consistently we specifically, train ourselves in concentration meditation, then uh, using that serviceable mind to meditate on emptiness, then our uh, the meditation practice on emptiness becomes so effective, like the practice of a special insight. You see, like that. So these are, so as I mentioned before, it's so simple, so easy writing, so such a profound practice, like essence of all the practice, but such a easy meditational guide. You see, and and you can apply according to what problem that you go through, or what defilement delusion that you want to purify. You can just use it accordingly, like this. So wonderful. Mm. So then after that in the text is, from these two respectively arise the form body, rupa kaya, the mere hearing of whose name give rise to the enlightened activity that helps specify the afflictions, and the dharmakaya, which help eliminate all afflictions, including their propensities that lead to more contaminated, that leads to more contaminated states. Mm. We should know how to extend this practice similarly to all afflictions, such as hatred, the master said. So as I mentioned before, uh, you see, we can relate to all the other afflictions, using the same technique, same meditational guide. Mm. So then here's, the talking about the two bodies of the Buddha. The benefit of this meditation is so great and so complete that this meditation will directly lead us to full enlightenment, not transiting in other, like a lower liberations. It directly lead to the full enlightenment by actualizing the rupakaya, the Buddha's form body, which is by result of cultivating conventional bodhicitta, like taking all the afflictions and adversities onto the path by conventional bodhicitta, as we discussed the first part. That even you do that for one moment, you do that daily, all the energy you gather from there, all the merit you gather from there, even you do not wish, also that will lead you to actualize Buddha's form body. And the Buddha's form body, the Rupakaya, is so beneficial that even just mere hearing whose name gives rise to enlightenment activities, like Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, like Cherezik, like Amitabha, like the deities. Just even hearing that their name really affects our enlightenment. You see, it lead to our enlightenment, like that. So you achieve that. Then the Dhammakaya, by meditating on the ultimate bodhicitta, on emptiness, the second part, will directly lead to actualize the complete perfected state of the Buddhahood, purifications of all the gross and subtle defilement, which is called the state of Dharmakaya. Or you will achieve that, you see, the state where no more contaminations. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, so therefore the teaching says, we should know how to extend this practice similarly to all afflictions, okay? As I mentioned before, the grasping, even outer experiences, outer obstacles. You feel the outer obstacle because you have grasping. If you don't have grasping, you don't feel outer obstacle. Even the whole world collapse, you don't feel uh, it is affecting you if you don't have the grasping. So therefore, all the practices, you know, all the obstacle can be concluded within the afflictions. You see the grasping afflictions. So you see, so therefore, you can use any form of afflictions, in such manner through this true meditation to overcome, to purify it. So that's what the master, the lineage gurus have said. So in the text it said, this has been written on the basis of my teacher's word alone, with no omission or additions. Um, so this very much, uh, the Shunu Gyalchok, Koncho Bang must be the one that who's saying that. So from here can, very much relate to Shunu Gyalchok is the one that was saying that. So, in my understanding, that this text is very much compiled, or the composition of Shunu Gyalchok, Koncho Bang. And when he talks about his lineage gurus, then the earlier Katama masters, including Domdamba Atisha, then all the Katama masters, the lineage master of the profound and extensive teaching, all the way up to Manjushri and Maitreya. You see, so this teaching has that kind of lineage blessings. And whatever teaching that emphasize here, even though the wording so simple, but it is exactly the word of the lineage guru. You see, so it's not kind of self-proclaimed kind of teachings. You see, so therefore it's going to be so effective. So how effective? This will directly result the true bodies of the Buddha. Then the text concludes, may the goodness of the content of this extremely profound instruction for taking affliction onto the path equal the measure of the space. So like that. So this conclude the text. So thank you very much. So please kindly have to read through it. And as I mentioned before, I feel this is so powerful guide to the most profound, most important meditation on true altruistic practice. Especially in today's time, when the world is really in turmoil, so much adversity is kind of popping up. So so each time that we feel difficulty, try to use these techniques, this meditation guide, to do some meditations. I think will be so beneficial. So thank you very much, and we conclude with short dedication. May this collective merit be a complete cause. Be free, all the sentient beings be free from sufferings, causes, and actualize peerless happiness after enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause, this pandemic to be overcome, all the cure be effective. And may this collective merit be a complete cause, especially to those who have taken refuge and requested prayers, supports, those who have passed away, including those of anyone who passed away in the past, as well as in these 49 days, be free from suffering of death, intermediate state, and rebirth, and actualize high rebirth in the Pure Land. And within that very lifetime, they actualize state of full enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause. All the people who are going through, obstacles, sicknesses, suffering from these pandemics, be free from all the causes and conditions in relation to this adversity, and actualize all the conducive conditions, effective treatments, and swift and complete recovery, and actualize most meaningful life all the way up to enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause. All the world leaders, leaders of the organizations, the leaders of the family, and ourselves who lead our life, be free from negative emotions, actualize all the wisdoms, wisdom of emptiness, wisdom, the attitude of altruism, like how the teaching have emphasized. By equipping that, may we able to antidote to all the obesities, and it is root cause, self-grasping, and self-cherishing attitude, and may we be always free from obesities. Then life be most meaningful with inner peace, wisdom, benefits, and enlightenment. May this collective merit be complete cause. All there be good people in this world, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, Kyabje Lama Subramachari, all your spiritual gurus, and yourself, your family members, always enjoy good health, long life, and fulfill all your wishes accordingly. May this collective merit be complete cause. All the virtuous institutions like monasteries, nunneries, and all the Dharma centers be free from inner outer secret obstacles, actualize all the conducive conditions to preserve the Dharma, virtue, perfectly in most extensive learning, as well as actualizing realization on the stages of path accordingly. May this collective merit be, yeah. So then the dedicator ourselves, the merit and the purpose that we dedicate all lies in the nature of emptiness. But then, I recite some of the dedication prayers. Individually, you have any specific dedication for yourself, your family members, and please do so. Jawadi Nyudoda Lama Sanje Dupjone Dowachi Jamali Badi Salam Gobarai Jo Chanju Simjorin Boje Maji Panam Jejuch Jawanyamba Mebayan Gone Gondo Pevara Jo Tony Tawari Boje Maji Panam Jejuch Jawanyamba Mebayan Gone Gondo Peva Jeremia Tawari Boje Maji Panam Jejuch Jawanyamba Mebayan Gone Gondo Pevara Jo Carrera Vekovic Singam dependent de Wamali Jum and the Cheres and one thing Jazoi Jabesi de Bado Danger, Tozo Jangon Jave, the Zinyon Bebe Gonzo Dobo, Choson Go, Lemeto. Dazo Deje Gondo Shab de Jo, Pamasum Jetam Jetan, and the Jing and Tamjeta to one, the Chanjo Semba Kana Suju. The Dagunje Molam do Joroji, Semjana Bajin, Banyo Donele, Tajo Duven and Emmanuel, Batadu, Evara. Jambe Bawe Jetan Bada Gondo Zambo, they and the Jinja, the Dagunje, Jezotalo, Java, the Tatam Jerabdon, to Shepe Java Tam Moakama Chutongaba. Daji Jeve Zawa de Gunja Sambo Chije Rabdung Warai, Jawakundo Yandalama, the Tramichi, Palam, Sadalam, and the Rabdun. Doje Janja Gombanyo Dojo, Jizula, Megozer, Abdejan, Wachile, Jamba, the Los Antembe Tremensasum. Dove Muzeda do Genuro, Jumne Dijama, the chance. Janju Zamba Zamajamokudo Zambola Jadro, Diad on better the Obudonazum to the Jam, the Obudonazum to the Jam. Diad on better the Obudonazum to the Jam, or died on better the Obudonazum to the Jam, died on better the Obudonazum to the Jam. Died on better the Obudonazum to the Jam, Jum Deja Dajama, the Zopa and you all the Monatan to the Jam, Jum Deja Dajama, and the Zopa, many of the Java. Menjo Zeja Jelanda Dendelo with them, and Dajalan, Namda, better so I mean, Simjero. Samba Chishan do better, Demba Jiden comes to Jumba, the Demba Nivation to Saway, Demba you never, you model it, settle it, you may want to let you. Yinzeda do Delebe, Kunjo, some year Tashi show. Okay, thank you very much. Take care. Please take good care of yourself. Take good care of each other. Okay. See you. Take care. Bye bye.